Brought to you by Ford. Ford, the official trucks of inside sport fishing. Ford trucks, built Ford tough. And by SHIMANO, makers of the finest fishing tackle in the world. Fish with the best, SHIMANO. And by Hotel Thomas de Cortez, Playa del Sol, and Hotel Punta Colorada, the finest fishing resorts in Baja.
What we're going to do today is go through some basic fishing tips on how to clean your reel after you're done fishing them for the day. Just to save you a little time, have your reel last a little bit longer. Try to keep your reel out of the shop as much as possible. During the busy time, winter time, we do get up to 2,000 to 3,000 reels in a week. So we do stress basic maintenance on the reels just to save you some time on the water and save your reel some time out of the shop. What we're going to do is just go through some basic maintenance tips on your reels that you can do every time you go fishing. We're going to start off by taking the side plate off, removing the spool. Set the spool down. What you're going to want to do is you're always going to want a lot of Q-tips. I'm going to start by cleaning the raceways of the reels.
Now, do you put anything on the Q-tips, Nate, or is that just a straight Q-tip?
We'd like to keep them dry. If there is a lot of oil and grease on the reel, you can put a little rubbing alcohol on there. Okay. This one seems to be pretty clean, so we're just going to go ahead and do it dry. You don't want to put a lot of lubrication on the reel, no WD-40, no oils. Once you start putting oil and lubrication on the reels, what it'll actually do is it'll slow up the reel. The tolerances in the reel are so tight, any kind of lubrication will slow down the reel. The only thing you really want to lubricate on the reel is maybe just a drop of oil on the bearings, and that's about it.
Okay, now where are the bearings?
We have two bearings. We have a side plate bearing, and there's another bearing right inside here on the pinion gear. Okay. That's basically the two bearings you're going to want to keep lubricated. Not too much, just one drop of oil on the bearing. When you go fishing, you don't need to lubricate them every time. Just a quick Q-tip, just to kind of get some of the dust and some of the debris out of there, just from fishing. So once we get the raceways cleaned up, we're going to go here on this side plate right here and clean this raceway out right here. And this is where actually your brake weights are rubbing, so you're going to want to keep that clean and somewhat just barely lubricated. What I like to do is just get Q-tip and just put a single drop of oil on it and just kind of run it in there. That way the brake weights will slide across that raceway smoothly, and it will reduce a lot of the noise in casting. So once we got that done, I'm going to take a Q-tip. This is one of the most valuable tips I can probably give for casting, is take the Q-tip and just stick it there in the pinion gear, like so. And then what you're going to want to do is take the Q-tip and just tear most of the cotton off. You want to leave a little bit on, just enough so it will grab some of that dirt. I like to just twist it up and kind of just keep it clean. And what you're going to want to do is go inside that pinion gear and get any oil, any water, any dirt out of the inside of the pinion gear, right in the gear.
And just twisting it around.
Just kind of moving it around, just getting all that debris out. And you will be surprised, there will be a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'll actually even go through there twice just to double check. And you can use a little bit of rubbing alcohol, not too much.
But no oil.
No oil. Never any oil in here.
So it's
and just a little rubbing alcohol just to kind of break up that oil in there. Once you did that, it should be clean. Next, another important thing you want to do is take your spool shaft and get any oil off of that spool shaft. The tolerance is so tight with the spool shaft in the pinion gear. It's so tight that any kind of lubrication, any kind of moisture will slope the reel, so you want it completely dry. And that's how you're going to get your best free spool out of the reel.
And that's where the rubbing alcohol comes in.
And that's where the rubbing alcohol comes in. Correct. So for everyday fishing, just when you're done with your trip, that's basically all you're going to want to do to the reel, is just give it a quick wipe down through the raceways, through the pinion gear, and on the spool shaft. And once you do that, another good thing to do, actually let me take this back out. Your brake weights that are on, sometimes they'll develop a little bit of dirt on the ends of them from rubbing on the raceway. So what I like to do is just take the ends of them and just kind of clean the ends of them up, get any dirt off of there, and just kind of do that one by one. But basically, I mean, when we do it in here, we do them all. Just kind of give them a quick rub.
Did you put a little rubbing alcohol on the end of it?
No, because yeah, you don't want to dry out the ends of them. You do want to keep them somewhat lubricated.
But not with an oil.
You can't. Well, what I'll do is I'll kind of like the same thing with that raceway. I'll just put a single drop right on the end of the Q-tip, and I'll just run it right on the ends of the brake weights, because this is what's rubbing. The top of the brake weights is what's rubbing on the inside of the raceway. And if it's dry, it's going to make that loud, kind of like, it sounds like a dry bearing sound when in the cast. So if you keep it lubricated, it'll keep it quiet. And once you're done with that, you just put your spool back in there. Got that all cleaned up. Put your side plate back on, and you're ready to fish. If you're going to be fishing a reel in salt water, I do suggest using just the regular spool rather than the wiffle spool, because the salt water will leak through the line, through the holes into the spool, and will get onto your bearings, and that will dry them out quickly.
So salt water, you want to stay with the local.
You want to stay with just the regular standard spool rather than just the regular deep spool rather than the low mass spool.
Okay.
In addition to the basic maintenance I just showed you, we're going to take it a step further and show you how to do a nice clean-in service on your reel that we recommend probably every year, every season of fishing. We're going to start off pretty much the same as the basic maintenance. What you're going to want to do is just remove your side plate, and then remove the spool. And what you're going to want to do, we're going to start off by removing the handle nut cap. Just unscrew that one screw, and it should pull straight off. What you're going to want to do is, if you have a nut driver or the wrench that we provide you, it's a 10mm nut driver, and you just want to go ahead and remove the nut on the handle. Remove the nut, and it's good too when you're taking apart your reel. When you're taking everything off, just kind of leave it in the order that you take everything off. That's way it's easier to put everything back together. Okay. So you're going to go ahead and leave the nut, or the cap first, and then the nut, the handle, drag clicker plate, your star, tension spring, and a nice little trick I like to do is take your star, and you can actually remove this nut without having to get any pliers. You can just put the star on there, and it kind of acts as a nut driver for this nut.
That's cool.
Just remove your nut. Now there should be a little washer under there. You just want to leave that. There should be 2 more pressure washers underneath that. And now you're ready to remove the side plate. What you're going to want to do is remove the 4 screws on the right side plate. Now on the newer reels, we do have a 5th screw to get the side plate off. It's right on the bottom.
And those are what, 2006 on?
Yes. The new Siticas, new Curados, new Cruxes. Once you have that screw out, Best thing to do is just grab the cast control cap and just kind of rock the